Okay, so today we're going to talk about greatest common factor. And this is something that, again, you should have seen before. We also call it, we'll use it when we talk about fractions, our greatest common denominator. We'll use that to help us. So let's take a look at what it means. A common factor, it's a number that divides exactly into two or more numbers. So one of the things that Danica talks about is factors of people. So what do we all have in common? So we're all humans, and then other factors that some of us might have that others might not, is I have curly hair and I have brown hair. So you might have that same factor, you might not. So those are kind of what we want to look for. We want to look for what makes up that particular number. And you can think about what makes up that particular person. So if I'm looking at 4 and 6, I want to find out what is in common, what's a factor of 4 and 6. Right? And we want to look to see what our greatest is. So if you were to make your little T for the factor, our fancy tuxedo shirt, so we get our freebie, 1 times 4, and then 2 times 2. So these are our factors. And then for 6, it's going to be, we always put our freebie down, and then 2 times 3. And again, these are our factors. So if I was to write these out, 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 6, the only thing that's in common is the 2. So those are common factors, and it just so happens to be the greatest common factor. So let's talk about what that means. Again, greatest common factor is just the greatest of the common factors. So for this one, there was only one set of common factors, so we're already done. Don't have to worry about looking for the greatest, because that is the greatest. And sometimes if it's a prime number, like if I had 7 and 11, these are both prime numbers, so your greatest common factor, your GCF, is going to be 1. That's the only thing that's in common, is a 1. So I know, calm down. Here we go, One Direction. And again, Danica likes to think about this as your greatest crush factor. So what is in common among those people? And this might help you remember that your greatest common factor is always going to be less than the numbers. Okay? So your factor, it will either equal or it'll be less than the numbers. When we talk about multiples, that'll be more. Okay, so let's take a look at our greatest crush factor. Now, I do not know a lot about this group over here. I think they're called One Direction. Just kidding. I know that they are. But if I was to look at their names, and if I was to look at the color of their hair, first thing I can tell is the factor that is not in common. I have 4 that have brown hair, and I have 1 that doesn't. Okay, so the common factor among 4 of them is brown hair. Your greatest crush factor, again, is what is in common between all of them. What I can tell right now is they're all in the band One Direction. That would be their greatest common factor. Now, what I do know, though, from doing a little research, is the only one that is not from England is Neil. So these guys are all from England. If he was from England, that would be a common factor. So it's a common factor being from the UK for these guys, but it's not a common factor for Neil. Hopefully that'll help you remember what a factor is. And again, we're looking for the greatest common factor, or like Danica likes to say, your greatest crush factor. Okay, enough with One Direction. So here's a couple of different ways that you can find your greatest common factor. So you're looking for what's in common. Okay, and then you're looking for your greatest number. So this is by listing them. So we're going to make our T-chart. So let's do 16. Always put down your freebie, and then go to 2. 2 times 8. Go to 3. Does 3 work? Remember, one of the tricks for finding 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Nope, 7 is not divisible by 3. So I'm going to go to 4. Oh, yeah, 4 times 4. And I'm already duplicating it, so I'm done. I know that this is my tuxedo shirt, and my factors are in order for me. Now, again, we're not going to write this one again, but these are our factors of 16. And then I'm going to do the factors of 28. So 1 times 28, I'm going to go to 2, 2 times 14, then go to 3. Again, that trick is you add the digits. 8 plus 2 is 10. Nope, 3 is not divisible by 28. Go to 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Oh, 4 times 7. 5 is not divisible, 6 not, 7. Oh, so I'm starting to repeat again. So I'm done with my tuxedo shirt. And I have 1, 2, 4, 7, 14, and 28. Okay, so I'm going to compare these factors. 1 obviously is in common with all of them. 2 is in common, and 4 is in common. So the greatest, though, the one that's in common for both of them is 4. Okay, so my greatest common factor is 4. And I'm going to show you 2 other ways that you can solve this same problem. Now, one of them, again, we're still looking for what's in common and what the greatest common factor is. And we're going to use our prime factorization to help us out. So first thing it tells us to do is make a factor tree. So 16. Okay. And again, if you didn't know that common one of 4 times 4, start with 2. 2 times 8. I'm going to circle this prime, that monkey, and then it's 2 times 4, because 2 times 4 equals 8. And then 2 times 2. So I'm just going to rewrite that as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And then now I'm going to do the factor tree for 28. So 28, okay, 2 times 14. Again, if you didn't realize that that was 14, you can go off to the side. Circle that monkey, and then 2 times 7. These are all primes. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 7. Okay, so here are my prime factorization of the numbers. So then it says multiply all the common prime factors. So what's in common is I have 2 times 2. I have 2 2's here. Oh, and I have 2 2's here. I couldn't do all 2's because there's only 2 here and 2 here. And so our GCF is going to equal 2 times 2, which equals 4. Okay, and again, this is just another way. I know that some of you have different ways to find your greatest common factor. I like to make the T-charts. Other students like to use this prime factorization. Now, the last one that we're going to do is what we call reverse division. And you're like, I don't know what that is. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So again, this is something that you may or may not have seen before, but I want to give you another option. You want to pick one of the ways and stick with it. So here it goes. Draw a layer under the numbers. And so what I mean by that, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this over here. Okay, so this is your layer. Now pick a number that divides into both. So I know that these are both even, so I'm going to make a 2. Now, 2 times 8 gives me 16, or you can look at it as 16 divided by 2 gives you 8. So notice I just dropped it right there. 28 divided by 2 gives me 14. And then I'm going to repeat the steps. I'm going to go, oh, again, they're both even, so I'm going to divide out a 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Now, there's nothing else that's in common that I can factor out, that I can divide out by these. So we're done. And it says when the when you multiply the side numbers, so here's my side numbers, these would be considered the bottom numbers. The side number, oh, look at that, 2 times 2. So our GCF is going to equal 2 times 2, which equals 4. Okay, so we'll be practicing that in class. One more example. Let's do, I'm going to do the T-chart. I forgot that I had this example here. Okay, so here we go. How many groups can be formed with 48 violinists, 24 violists, and 30, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and 36, I think that I might have spelled that wrong, should be cellists. Okay, so here we go. 48, again, I'm just going to make T's for all of these. So I'm going to start with 2. 2 times 24. Oh, I actually did forget my freebie. Don't want to ever forget that freebie. I'm going to go ahead and just put the freebie there for all of them so I don't forget that. And then I look at 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. And then I go to 3. Oh, 3 times 8. And then, oh, sorry, that's 24. So I know that that's going to be bigger. And again, if you didn't see that right off the bat, let's go ahead and do it old school off to the side. Don't be lazy. 3 goes into 4 one time, left with 1 left over, so it'll be 16. And I could have just doubled the 8 as well. And then 4, I think 4 is going to go into it, but let me go ahead and just show the work off to the side. Okay, it's 1, and that's 4, 0, 8, so it's 2, so 12. 4 times 12. And then I know 5 doesn't go into it because it doesn't end in 0 and 5. 6, let's see if 6 goes into that. 6, so 6 times 8. So it does go in there. 6 times 8. And then if you went to 7, that doesn't work, so you're going to want to, and then you get to 8, so that's a repeat. So you know that you're done. Now, 1 times 24, and then 2 times 12, because 2 times 12 is 24, and then 3, this goes to the one I had over here, 3 times 8, and then go to 4, 4 times 6, 5 doesn't work, and then you're back to 6, so you know you're done. And then we have 36. So 1 times 36 is 36. That's our freebie. We like our freebies. And then 36 can be divided by 2 because it's an even number. So 30 is 15. Okay, and then 6 can be divided by 3. So 15, or sorry, by 2 3 times. So it's 15 plus 3, so it gives you 18. Okay. And then let's try 3. Again, if I add these digits, 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 is divisible by 3, so I know that that's going to work. If you didn't see it if you didn't see it right away, you would want to do that old school. Okay. So 3 goes into 3 one time, so 12. And then go to 4, going that way and adding. So 4 times 9 is 30. Oops. Why doesn't my pen want to work? 4 times 9. 5 doesn't work. 6. Oh, 6 times 6. We're already repeating, so we're done. Now, I look at my common factors. I know 1 is in common. 2 is also in common. 3 is also in common. 4 is in common. Oh, look at 6 is in common. Okay, so 6, 6, 6. And if I just want to double check, 8 is in common among them. 8, 8, no 8. And then go 12. Oh, that's another one that's in common. 16, not in those. 24, I have a 24 here, but it's not in there. And 48 is not in there. So your greatest common factor, the one that's in common of all of those, is going to be 12. And that's it.